Today, we are going on a trip. We're visiting 3 countries that are smaller than most cities you know, but their wealth, it's almost beyond imagination. We're about to get a glimpse into how the world's real 1% lives. So, let's dive right in.
But before we start, let me ask you a quick question. Can you even picture a country where poverty just doesn't exist? A place where the whole idea of it feels completely foreign? I know, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but today we're visiting not one, but 3 places that get unbelievably close to that reality.
So get ready, because some of the things we're about to see are pretty mind-bending. We're talking about places with absolutely zero income tax, where seeing a Ferrari on the street is as normal as seeing an auto rickshaw in India. We're going to a country where literally every other person you meet is a millionaire. We'll even see a place with totally free public transport for everyone, and a kingdom where the prince himself throws a huge party with free beer for the entire country. And no, this isn't a fantasy movie. This is our itinerary for today.
Okay, our first stop is the one and only Monaco. Tucked away on the stunning French Riviera, this place isn't just a country, it's the ultimate playground for the world's billionaires.
So first things first, let's talk about size. Or, well, the lack of it. At just over 2 square kilometers, Monaco is the second smallest country on Earth. You could literally walk from one end of the country to the other in under an hour. It's smaller than many city parks.
But don't let that tiny size fool you for a second. Every single inch of this country is worth an astronomical amount of money. We're talking over 1 crore rupees for a single yard of land. A tiny little plot would set you back millions upon millions of dollars. It's just insane. So, you might be asking, what's the big secret? Why is it so popular? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Monaco is a tax haven. If you're a citizen, you pay zero income tax. It doesn't matter if you earn millions or billions, not a single penny goes to the government. It's basically a giant magnet for the ultra-rich.
And what happens when you have a system like that? You get a concentration of wealth that is just staggering. You'll often hear people say that 1 in every 2 residents is a millionaire and 1 in 3 is a billionaire. Now, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but it points to a wild reality where extreme wealth isn't just common, it's the absolute norm.
Now, with all that money floating around, you'd expect security to be a pretty big deal, and you'd be right. Monaco has the most police officers per person in the entire world, plus a crazy high-tech surveillance network that covers every single corner. The result? The crime rate is practically zero. People can stroll around at midnight wearing millions of dollars in jewelry without a single worry. And when you add in world-class healthcare, the average life expectancy is an incredible 90 years old. Of course, you can't talk about Monaco without mentioning its most famous event, the Formula One Grand Prix. And what makes it so special? Well, there's no separate racetrack. The entire city transforms. Its narrow, winding streets become the circuit, and people literally watch 300-kilometer-per-hour supercars zoom past from their own apartment balconies.
And here's one last fascinating little rule from Monaco. You know the world-famous Monte Carlo casino, right? An icon of luxury and high-stakes gambling? Well, it has a very strict policy. If you are a citizen of Monaco, you are forbidden from gambling there. The government's logic is simple. They want to protect their own people from the risk of addiction and losing all their money. It's for foreigners only.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. We're going to leave the pure glitz and glamour of Monaco and head to Luxembourg, a nation that isn't just rich in money, but rich in really smart ideas. You could almost call it an efficient, progressive utopia.
Now get this. This is a total game changer. Back in 2020, Luxembourg became the very first country in the world to make all of its public transport, we're talking buses, trains, trams, the whole shebang, completely free. And not just for its citizens, but for tourists too. Anyone can use it. The whole idea was to cut down on traffic and pollution, and they've done it beautifully, with these clean, modern vehicles that feel more like a 5-star lounge than a city bus.
Okay, now let's talk about the standard of living, because this is where things get really eye-opening. The legal minimum wage in Luxembourg is about 2,700 euros a month. That's close to 3,000 US dollars. Just to put that into perspective for you, a single month's minimum salary there is more than what many people in other parts of the world earn in an entire year. That just ensures a really high quality of life for pretty much everyone. But Luxembourg's wealth isn't just about the money. The country has a nickname, Europe's Green Heart, and for very good reason. Its landscapes are just breathtaking. We're talking lush green forests, rolling hills, and these picture-perfect villages.
There are areas like the Mullerthal region that are even called Little Switzerland, and you can take a walk along what they call the most beautiful balcony in Europe for views that look like they're straight out of a painting.
Another really unique thing about this place is its culture. Since it's tucked right between France, Germany, and Belgium, almost everyone here is fluent in 3 languages. They're native Luxembourgish, French, and German. This multilingualism creates this incredibly cosmopolitan and connected society. It's really cool.
For our final stop, we're heading to a place you might have to look up on a map, Liechtenstein. It's hidden away in the Alps between Austria and Switzerland, and this tiny nation is a true fairy tale kingdom, complete with a castle on a hill and a ruling prince.
But don't let that whole fairy tale kingdom vibe fool you. Liechtenstein is secretly an industrial powerhouse. And I bet you won't believe this, but it's the world's largest producer of artificial teeth. Yep. On top of that, it's a global exporter of high-tech precision machinery and has a booming pharmaceutical industry. This mix of old-world charm and new-world tech gives it one of the highest per capita incomes on the entire planet. And this might be the most charming tradition I've ever heard of. Every single year on August 15th, their national holiday, the reigning prince, Hans Autumn II, throws a party. He just opens up the gardens of his castle and invites the entire population, all 39,000 of them. There's free food, free beer, and the royal family just walks around and mingles with everybody. How amazing is that?
And here's another incredible fact about this peaceful little nation. Liechtenstein got rid of its army all the way back in 1868. They basically decided that peace is the ultimate weapon. And despite all of its wealth, this social trust runs so deep that many people don't even bother to lock their front doors at night. So, after visiting these 3 incredible nations, you could see that extreme wealth doesn't just look one way. It really raises a fascinating question about what it actually means for a country to be rich.
We've seen 3 totally different models of wealth, right? Monaco is all about pure financial power and personal security. It's that glamorous playground. Then you have Luxembourg, which uses its wealth for social innovation, efficiency, and nature, creating this sort of modern utopia. And finally, there's Liechtenstein, which combines its industrial wealth with this incredible sense of community and tradition, making it a real-life fairy tale kingdom.
And all of this leads to the final thought I really want to leave you with. After seeing these examples, how should we really define a successful nation? Is a country's wealth measured by the money in its banks or the number of billionaires it has? Or is it measured by the safety, the health, and the sense of community that its people get to enjoy every day? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.